Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, the New Order Last Days of Europe, as the Russian Federation. We're looking beautiful right now. Yeah, you might not be able to pick it up immediately, because it looks like the Germans got off easy, but they did not. In fact, we spent the last video. We had to do a little bit of cheese, because if not, we were going to be fucking nuked off the map. But we've gone ahead, and we won the war. So we have the reconstruction of authorities in a couple of these places. We've done a pretty good job, I think. I'm proud of what we've done, at least. We'll do some of this for the nukes, even though it technically considers a nuclear power anyway, but... the final strikes. Okay, Federation reborn, there we go. After decades of humiliation, Russia has finally triumphed over the Germans. The sacred cities of Moscow, as well as millions of other Russians, have been liberated from German occupation. Feeling such an occasion deserved to be celebrated, President Shukhin has organized an event in the Red Square of Moscow. A large military parade to remember all the wars Russia has ever fought in, and to celebrate the nation's triumph. A day he calls Victory Day. If you're not seeing it, Russia getting nukes now gets a cool super event. Really? Well, shit, I'm really gonna have to get working on this then. We prevented a full-on nuclear war from occurring right. We knew threatening people with nukes would get them to stop. In a shocking turn of events, the all-Russian armies overcome the vast German armies. Overwhelmed by Russian air superiority and experienced soldiers of the United States finally surrendered to the Russian Federation, hopes of avoiding all nuclear war between the two countries. The Federation accepted, signing the Treaty of Riga, which saw the United States hand over the lands of the former Soviet Union. Millions within the Reichswehr imperial lands have rejoiced as the winds of change finally arrived. Chaos on the other hand has erupted in Germany as people accuse the German government of weakness. Many factions from SS sympathizers to reformists have begun to battle out on the streets, while the Wehrmacht attempts to control the situation. Only time can tell what the complete repercussions of Russian victory may have on both Europe and the globe. But a bright future awaits the Federation. They fought for the motherland. They saved their homeland. They won. The silly Shukhin. Better days ahead. Abstract. The investment in reconstructing all regions reclaimed from German Reich will be a long and costly process. A return on investment is only expected around 1990. Section 1, Overview of the Economy. Now that Germany has been removed as an immediate threat, the Russian Federation has much to do to rebuild itself and claim stability that has never truly been achieved. First thing to do is rebuild the infrastructure around the Greater Moscow region, moving west to Petrograd, then finally going south to create a stable infrastructure in Volga and Caucasian regions. As expected, the slave economy practiced under Hitler's regime has left the region devastated, and while a small handful of startup businesses have been noted, the majority of the region has no experience with owning or running a business. Investing in education efforts and retaining will go a long way to expand our economy. Section 2, Complications to Re-election Efforts. To maintain your popularity... Shukhin put down the paper. His re-election didn't matter right now. The people of Russia did not need some self-enriching politician. They needed the man that united Russia. They needed him, politics, and popularity to be damned. The reconstruction begins. Let's give a speech. I know Turtle was saying how there's so many fucking events. It was kind of crazy, really. Or, like, not events, but focuses. So we might be here for a while. There might just be a point where you have to, like, just cut it off and say, okay. Well, I had to go 8 hours ago. Your ass is still... I went offline. I'm back online now. Took like a couple hour break to take a nap. Then I thought I might go for a date, but did not work out. Stuff happens. Stuff happens. I'm good. I'm good. We here. Russia's been liberated. Everything's good. Well, anyway, how was work? I don't get anything from that. Federation Reborn. Excellent. Sucked ass, but I made money, so that's all that mattered. Half staff didn't show, so it was hectic as fuck. Yeesh, really? Well, that's shitty of them. I don't want to assume anything. Was it COVID? Or just something popped up, or what? Let's declare martial law. The West is in chaos. Nazi partisans are running rampant, harassing our forces and attacking, fighting our liberated, fighting. I think they were trying to figure out what word to choose, and they just forgot to choose one there. Our liberated brethren on the streets. Before we can begin reconstruction efforts in our newly liberated territories, must first annihilate these militant partisans and beat these fanatic Nazi settlers into submission as soon as possible. No, just called out for whatever. Half staff only equates to 3 people. There's still only 2 of us, not because of it. Okay, shit, yeah. That'll cause some issues. So we gotta do this, then we got this. Yeah, we got a couple options from here. Finish other batch. Oh, thank you, Jaden. I appreciate it. I'm gonna pull those up, but I'm recording, so we'll show them off another time. Anyway, Shukshin gazed upon the nether-ending line of soldiers in the balcony and felt a few emotional tug at his heartstrings. Pride of the country he had led out of the darkness, pride for the countless lost souls he had freed, and pride for what he had accomplished in such a short time. A lot of confidence, definitely. This parade was many times larger and grander than the previous one, boasting to the world. This was a force that triumphed over the once-thought invincible Wehrmacht. This was the all-Russian army, the force that liberated millions and crushed his super baron's palm. On full display, just one of the many miracles his presidency had brought to the Russian wastes. But above all of these emotions, hope. Hope for the future, finally. Could he bring the same standard of living most of the Federation enjoyed to the ruins of Moscow? Would anyone dare threaten their sovereignty again? Could Eastern Europe finally take its place in the sun together? Shukshin was snapped out of his thought by a firm hand on his back. He looked over his shoulder and saw the smiling face of not only his cabinet, but Christian as well. His eyebrows raised, but a huge grin on his weather-beaten face. Look below, Vasily. They're all marching for you a second time. And you're lost in your thoughts again? I believe you didn't build the Federation up and liberate millions just to fall asleep at the victory parade, no? This should be the proudest moment in your life, so act like it. Strongman yelled at him with all the anger he could muster up, but the grin on his face betrayed him. Shukshin turned around, slowly nodding, a toothy grin on his face as well. What did you say, old man? Look, I still remember what you said that day. No matter the struggles ahead, no matter the enemies we face in the coming storm, we shall free our people. That doesn't apply anymore, does it? Falcon finished jokingly, much to the president's chagrin. To a better future, to dreams of the Federation. Okay, Jesus, we have a lot of arms to get sorted. Free civilian factories. Well, I think it's time for us to help rebuild our little bits, some of our new puppets. So we'll do some of that. So this looks really nice. I like that. Russian industry go brrr. True. We got industry figured out. Next, let's do military construction. Why not? Ah, shit, why is my shoulder acting up? I don't need, my foot already hurts mildly. I don't need anything else to start hurting. Looks like we got the Reconstruction era. Central Design Bureau. Declare martial law. Okay, so we have the werewolves. From the moment we had triumph over the Reich, Nazi partisans, otherwise known as werewolves, began an insurgency against the Russian Federation, launching attacks of terror against our citizens and harassing the all-Russian army. Before we can begin to rebuild Eastern Europe, we must first find out where these terrorists hide and destroy them before they cause more harm upon the already hurt people of Eastern Europe. Our strength is at 100. Well, let's try to assassinate the leadership then. On some power military governments. Although the president does not wish to grant the military more power in the reconstructive zones, if the partisan threat is to be dealt with swiftly and effectively, it appears the president has no choice but to do so. If the military governors having more power to deal with partisans effectively manage over domestic issues that plague the West, peace and stability can slowly begin to return to the lands of Eastern Europe. President Shukshin sat below the radio receiver, sweat dripping down from his brow. I can't believe I'm going to do this. After all we fought for, the sacrifice we made. Does it really come to this? Ahmet Khan Sultan gently placed his hand on his friend's shoulders. Vasily, I understand your trepidation. We all feel fear before any important matter, but the anticipation is always worse than the reality. Take a moment, let your nerves settle. We'll be here for you. Shukshin nodded and let his hands rest on the cool pine wood table. Behind them, a clock ticked away the seconds before the plunge. Shukshin picked up the receiver and began a speech. Citizens of the Russian Federation, this is your president speaking. Forced to address you directly by the severity of a current emergency. Please let's not waste time with useless rhetoric. The situation in the Moscow region is at a breaking point. The Third Reich has armed rebels and terrorist groups throughout the liberated territory. They are attacking civilians, robbing, raping, looting, destroying all that we fought to protect. The severity of this emergency cannot be overstated. I have no desire to panic or frighten you, but I must be frank. These werewolves are an existential danger to the peace and prosperity of the Moscow region. As your president, I'm required to make difficult decisions on a daily basis. This is perhaps the most difficult of all. As of today, with the consent of the Federal Assembly, I formally declare martial law within the Moscow region. The state of affairs will continue as such until such time as these terrorists have been rooted out and law and order has been restored. I assure you, this is a temporary measure to defeat anti-Russian elements remaining in our territory. This state will not be extended beyond the Moscow region, nor will it be maintained in perpetuity. We simply ask for your trust and your cooperation until such time as the emergency has come to an end. We have come to give you freedom. Let us work for it together. Thank you. President Shukshin returned the receiver to its mount with shaking hands. The speech, perhaps the most important broadcast of his life, was over. Well done, Vasily. Now we just need to survive the fallout. No. We need to pray that no tyrant ever uses this precedent to destroy the Federation's democracy. Citizens, this is only a temporary solution. Please do not shout. Tabby flashbacks to that clock ticking. I saw that, and I was trying not to laugh because I don't want to ruin the seriousness of all this. It's like, God damn it. But it's okay, it's okay. Better industrial expertise, that's nice. Innovative industry, even. There we go. I mean, does that raise a question? Just imagine how much a clusterfuck it would be if Tabby could fight the Second Russian Civil War and had content for one. Oh, God. God, one of the events that messed me up the most during Tabby, not messed me up, but it's made me think a lot. I think of it out a lot. Is when that one event where the border patrol on a Moscovian, RK Moscovian, are aiming their guns at refugees coming in, and they're saying, "Don't come in, we will shoot." And there's like an old lady that just walks up to me and is like, "You could shoot me right here and now, and it's a better fate than what lies on the other side." And they tell them what's happening in there, and it fucks up them. It just fucks them up. That might be a bit of a weird. It's maybe, I don't know. That's one of the events that stood by me the most, personally. Right now, let's expand intelligence presence. The SB has for years been the right hand of the Federation. Their past and experiences in rooting out terrorist elements such as the Narodics would prove invaluable in rooting out partisan influence that continues to battle throughout our forces, throughout the former Reich Commissariats, and prevent the Federation from rebuilding these lands in any meaningful capacity. Like when the SS complained of Nazi Party about how fucking brutal and disgusting the Croatian Ustaša troops were. Fuck, yeah. Intelligence presence. Let's go ahead. And deploy special forces. Spetsnaz unit is an elite unit to deal with dangerous domestic situations that threaten the Russian people, such as terrorism, bomb threats, and hostage situations. With the Western chaos, it's time to send the best westward to assist the all-Russian army, taking down the Nazi threat in Russia once and for all. You know, we're bad motherfucking the SS are like, okay, lads, you're at 9 when you need to be at 2. Yeah, fuck. If you're having the Nazis tell you you need to chill, that's fucking crazy. Real quick, I want to... Oh god, there's no support for the Republicans anymore. Jesus fuck. I'm a little curious, at least, to see how Johnny Glenn is doing. Oh, Jesus. It's not the worst, I guess. Center's in control, so it's not a good RD game right now. They're... Oh no, they broke. Jesus, they fucking broke. Oh no. Let's give it an F in chat for Starman. Because that breaks my heart. I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Let's go with strike urban outposts. Next, we'll send in the Air Force. Since founding the Federation in the early 1950s, we've always prided ourselves on our air capabilities. With the strength of our Air Force, we've been able to triumph over our enemies from Moscow to Magadan. Now the Luftwaffe has been beaten and repelled from the skies of Russia, we can now turn our air capabilities against the partisans. With the Air Force against the partisans, we can find out where these cockroaches hide and bomb them into ash. Got a lot of stuff to read. Jeez. Captain Morozov's specialty has always been counterinsurgency and natural ability for smoking out terrorists, partisans, bandits, everything in between. During the stripes years ago, during the Narnik insurgency, back when the Federation was little more than a city-state. When his unit was appointed to deal with the werewolf problem in Moscow, he knew the drill. Many of his superiors objected his methods, trying to find the ringleader instead of breaking up smaller cells, but Morozov believed that cutting off the head of a snake was more efficient than cutting off its tail. I have seen that picture. I fucking love it. It's amazing. And his methods eventually bore fruit. After a while of listening on wiretaps, collecting from informants, and some enhanced interrogations, Spetsnaz finally located the leader of the Moscow chapter. They tracked the leader to an unassuming house in the outskirts of a city, which belonged to a certain Boris Inigeti, also known as Gomer, to his werewolf allies. In the middle of the night, Morozov and his men stormed the lonely house, determined to find Gomer dead or alive. Unfortunately for him, the house was seemingly deserted, until one of the Spetsnaz discovered a hidden door behind a bookcase. As hastily opened, the door opened to a staircase that led to a secret basement. The unit went down in the basement, discovered a makeshift operations room, filled with maps, documents, and weapons. Spetsnaz discovered a man attempting to use the radio to send a message in German, possibly to warn his werewolf allies that he'd been discovered. A voice in Russian yelled at him to stop and turn around slowly with his hands up. Instead of complying, the man tried to pull a gun on the Spetsnaz. Within seconds, Gomer was dead. Spetsnaz and Russian intelligence combined, again combed through the documents, found that we stumbled upon treasure. The man they killed wasn't named Gomer Boris, but named Lutz Hoffmann, an agent of German Abwehr, tasked with organizing the Moscow chapter of werewolves. With the intelligence gathered at Hoffmann's headquarters, the Russians found out about every cell, every safe house, every supply route, and every planned attack. Next, we each saw a crackdown of epic proportions. Hundreds of German werewolves were dead, and thousands more taken prisoner. They fell like dominoes, and the Moscow province was finally free from the terror. The end of the Moscow chapter. Let's give a speech. Man, I'm glad I started doing this tonight and earlier today, because there's going to be a lot more of this I'm going to need to stream. I don't know how many thumbnails I'm going to need. I'm hoping with Jaden Mather can be enough. And, fuck, man. I mean, all of these... Oh, let me check. How many of these... Okay, a few of these have... Okay, most of these have, fucking events associated with them, Jesus. Well, I'm probably just getting tired. Anna flew through the skies, enjoying the soft hum of the MiG-27 as it soared through the clouds. Anna loved being up here. It was peaceful. There wasn't anyone in the skies to bother, unlike this chaos on the ground or the roughness of the water. But she wasn't in the skies, just in front of it. The war of Germany might have ended, but the team of Germans who found themselves in the Russian Federation continued to resist. Why do they keep fighting? Can't they see how they've lost? Anna asked herself as she made her descent. Flying low, she approached her target. A Nazi terrorist group calling themselves werewolves, taking over a farm, killing the owners and turning the place into a fortress. Her job was to bomb the place, line the fences, up so Ivanov and the boys could clean up the mess. After a few minutes, the farm was finally in sight. She flicked a switch, posing herself as she activated her comms. Come let you know, this is Captain Anna. I'm approaching now. Tell the boys to get their toys ready. Copy that, Captain. Ready to move when you are. Anna drove sharply towards the farm, unloading the payload of explosives. She looked over her shoulder as she watched the flames ascend to the skies. The farmhouse and barn were torn to pieces. She sighed as she checked the skies once more. Why are the Germans forcing them to do this? She activated her comms once more. Contact and strike team on ground. Target it, Colonel. Happy hunting. Next, we'll send humanitarian aid. Across the newly liberated West, millions of people are ruthless and starving. Decades of German mismanagement and atrocities of Wehrmacht committed against the innocent people of Eastern Europe throughout the war have devastated the population. The Federation must be swift in aiding our Western brothers and sisters through this difficult time in our history and assist them in healing these deep scars left behind by the Wehrmacht occupation. Nazi Waco. Fuck. You got a point, I think. I don't know if you're wrong. Humanitarian aid. Let's do... Final strike. Across the west, our forces have located the base and leadership of the Nazi partisans. They continue to harass our forces. With the western situation stabilizing our military in place, time has finally come to launch a final strike against these partisans and end the threat they pose against the innocent once and for all. He spent his entire youth as a worker in the German factory, a life of terror. He worked producing rifles, a thankless task, providing the means for the Germans to oppress his people. A single slave producing a rifle incorrectly will lead to hours of collective punishment. The soul-crushing work never ended. When the Russian army had smashed down the door of his factory, he was utterly terrified. Two of the guards had begun liquidating the assets, successfully murdering half of the people Constantine knew in the world. The army only got to him just as Constantine's overseer turned his attention to him. His life was saved, and for that he was grateful to them. The men then introduced themselves in Russian, and for the first time in years, Constantine spoke a language that his former masters, had tried to force him to forget. One day he left the small apartment he rented. It was better than the conditions in the factory housing, but he still didn't like to be cooped up all day. As he walked down the street, he saw something odd. He noticed a line of people, all standing outside a building. The building declared itself to be government soup kitchen. Something about it made him smile. The factory he grew up in would never provide something as substantial as soup to eat unless you worked for it as if your life depended on it. As he walked on, he saw two children playing soccer in the street. Soccer. That was something he was introduced to by the soldier that aided him in rehabilitation. A game that people play to keep themselves occupied. One of the kids kicked a ball, a bit askew, and nearly hit a window. Under German rule, they would be punished severely. He kicked the ball back, and the child smiled. He made his way down another small bend to a road that had been repaired by reconstruction crews. He could see the school they'd been building. Was going to allow admittance to over 200 students for free. On the steps of school, a woman was reading a book to 3 looking kids. He was grateful that they would not experience the life he had had. As he looked at the book she was holding, an idea struck him. He ran back home, and a spark of inspiration took a few sheets of paper and a pen. He wrote and wrote until he was tired. He looked back at the paper, reading the first 3 lines. He would need an editor, someone who could make his ramblings and bad grammar read better, but he could make this work. He would write a story about his life in the factory, vicious vilification of the tenets of Nazism, and what they did to the Russian people. Maybe one day he would sleep without nightmares. Oh, Jesus. I don't think that's supposed to be like that. Oh dear. think I broke the construction screen, boys. Shit. Let's give a speech. We lost a lot of men. Like, probably, like, all of these were full. Or just about all of these were full before. Does that often for me. You fix it by just building enough till the scroll wheel appeals. Okay, I gotcha. Well, this is a little annoying. Now we have to wait a little bit to do the final strike. But, this feels a little boring, I'm not gonna lie. The werewolves... section I can't say I'm a big fan of thus far. And I think I'll go ahead and stop training these guys. Yeah, it's just a minor glitch. I'm not too worried about that. I'll just do that. Alright, so I'll just do... There we go. Hans wiped the sweat from his forehead as he looked down the map of Eastern Europe before the Slavic horde crawled away back west and destroyed Hitler's legacy. Werewolves had resisted the efforts in the Treaty of Riga, but it seemed that despite their best efforts, the Untermensch were victorious in the end. Shooting outside ceased as loud Russian voices could be heard. It seemed that Hans was the last of his brothers. His breathing became faster as he reached for his AK-4, aiming at the door. The handle jiggled for a moment before a jet black boot kicked the door in. Hans yelped in fear as a Russian charged in, firing his pistol and dislodging the weapon from Hans' hand. Hans fell to the ground, his back against the wall, as he looked up to the soldier standing above him. Ah, Hans, it's good to finally meet you. You're a hard man to find. I'm sure you know who I am, yeah? Dmitry Ivanov. Yeah, I know you. You've killed many of us. You're the assassin. Russia's monster. I am my orders, Hans. President Shukshin wants you guys out of his hair by any means necessary. You're the last one, Hans. The werewolves die with you. Hans looked up at the man, who kept hundreds of fellow werewolves up at night, praying that Russia's monster wouldn't pay them a visit. He could feel his hands shaking as he stared into the barrel of the gun. Resistance was over, and everything that the Aryan peoples of Europe had fought to achieve had been undone. The Russians had won. It seems that after everything, you Udeo Bolshevik puppets have finally won, and we have lost. Just shoot me already. Spare me the shame of my failures. Dmitry pulled the trigger, and Hans collapsed to the ground. Werewolves were finally finished. Eastern Europe could finally heal. Soldier named Bogdan Belyaev entered the room, and AK in his hands. Sir, what are our orders? Torch the place. Leave the bodies. That works. We'll do two more focuses real quick. Now that the West has been liberated and order has been restored, now comes the time for rebuilding everything that we have lost over these difficult decades that both the Russian people and Europe have long endured. Eastern Europe may lie in tatters as a result of the German occupation of the Second West Russian War, but now that Russia stands united and free, we can come That's a little bit off. That's we should proofread that a little bit more. We can now come together as one nation and begin the long healing process of rebuilding our motherland. Coom. Yes. And then, let's rebuild Moscow. For decades, our sacred Moscow suffered under German rule. Many of its vibrant monuments were left to rot, while once vibrant Russian communities were reduced to mere ghettos. That is no longer the case. Now, Russia is back and stronger than ever. With hope in our hearts and our triumph and the war lifting us even higher, it's time to rebuild the Third Rome and create the most glorious city the world has ever had the privilege of seeing. Oh, shoot. Going Yard Gavin, thank you for the raid. We're getting ready to wrap up kind of soonish, so I'm glad you guys came in now. Welcome. Thanks for the raid. What were you guys playing? I'm gonna assume HoI. Is that a safe assumption? Moo to you as well. For the first time in a long while, the presidential quarters of Novosibirsk were quiet, with most of the staff sleeping deep into the morning. Like I can't read. Hell yeah, I figured as much. Let's go. Fun stuff. No one could blame them. For the first time in generations, people of Russia were genuinely free. Not only were they free, but they faced a German onslaught in the sky and on the ground and came out victorious. Today, the Russians everywhere stood with their backs straightened. They had achieved something that previous states, the Soviets, the Americans, even the British had failed to do. They had defeated what was the greatest evil known in history and came out better for it. The euphoria of a previous state. Oh, thank you for the follow, my friend. I appreciate it a lot. The euphoria of a previous day of celebration left the staff completely knocked out with their success. Even the various generals drank as if it were their weddings. Chuckles, thank you for the follow. As the staff of President Powell slowly returned over the next day, we started work on the now significant backlog documents and information. Shushino also slept in and enjoyed the relative quiet. Climax, thank you for the follow. The situation across the newly gained territory, as well as widespread damage reports and potential avenues towards reconstruction. After reading through each plan and hearing about the various suggested policy plans, I met Khan, who had been sitting there, quietly spoke up. Vasily, old friend, you seem troubled. What's on your mind? The man asked. Jushin sighed as he set the folder down on his desk and leaned back into his chair. At times, I still struggle to believe that we are where we are, Met. It seems like only yesterday I was writing my next novel, where we're testing the next generation of aircraft. Now we're at the helm of a nation that seemingly needs us more than ever. Shukshin explains he rubbed his eyes, his mind exhausted from everything that's happened since becoming presidents. Things have changed, that's for sure, but we still have a job to do, Vasily. There's still millions of people who need us, especially after the war. Vasily was silent for a moment before slowly nodding. Oh, what are we waiting for then? We got work to do. Reinforcements have arrived. Heck yeah, I appreciate that. Stretch, you got it. Dragoning, I'm going to assume that's how you say that. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And Kodakit. Is that notification going to go off? There we go. Thank you for the follow. So, when HoI were you playing? TNO? Another mod? What exactly were you, fine fellas up to tonight? Yeah, shit. Stretch again? Okay, there we go. I'll take it. Yeah, spread the love. I like it. I dig it. Well, we're going to do one more focus for the night, and then I've done a lot of reading. I might go for a walk, although my foot's probably going to... I'm going to hate myself for doing it on my foot. Mopping off, but I'll leave lurk up. Have a good stream. You too, my friend. Nice to see you. I understand you play for Russians. Sure. Thanks for hopping in Electric City. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Even if it was only for a brief little time. I knew? Well, welcome. Welcome. You missed the big war. We had a lot of encirclements. A lot of just guys getting overran even without the encirclements anyway. It was a lot of fun. Always happy to support. Ready when you're done. I'll have to track someone down, but I'll see what I can do. I'm from Russia. I can teach you Russian. Ooh, that'll be fun. It also reminds me I'm going to have to do my Duolingo soon. We'll get working in the Stan area. Do that bit of research there. Let's do logistics. Why not? I think, is this where we're going to get a new GUI? Because now I think there is a Reconstructing Russia GUI. Or the West GUI. Should we just call that whole home area Stanistan? I mean, that would work. That's not... Okay, let's go ahead. This place is a dump facility. Why can't we just bulldoze everything and start over? Shikshin stopped in his track and turned towards his old friend. Amit Konsultan, hero of a Soviet Union skilled pilot, stood slightly shaking at his ally's quick movement. Shikshin briefly looked down at the rebel's feet. We can't just stare down centuries of history, Amit. Moscow was the whole reason we fought and won this war. That's how we rallied our men. That's how we consoled the widows and crying mothers of those fallen. That was our will to fight. To take back Moscow. We can't forsake our duty to all the people who died along the journey just because it doesn't look pleasing right now. Rebuilding takes time. The pair continued to walk, seeing beggars in the street and beleaguered citizens shambling along carrying groceries. Sultan spoke up against. Why can't we build something new? Something exciting? Have you seen those American cities? They have tall office buildings everywhere to support a modern economy. There's more than enough cities where plans like those can be implemented. But the idea of Moscow, and more importantly the people of Moscow, deserve better than what those cities can provide. Think about how many people will be forced from their homes if we let developers come in and buy all the land to make office space. No, Moscow's prestige needs to be kept and its people put first. I suppose you're right. I'm glad you're taking the current residents of Moscow into consideration, Vasily. Russia should be a place where people of all backgrounds can live in harmony. The pair rounded the corner to Red Square. The distant scaffolding covered the domes of St. Basil's Cathedral. The structure would be restored how it was in the days before the occupation, which served as city Moscow's. It would serve as the center of Moscow's. Why am I fucking up now? God damn it. Homestretch. The center of Moscow's skyline, which signified to the world that Russia was finally back. Putting the pieces together, community by community. Did we not get one more GUI? Maybe not. Well, I think I'll end it home for the YouTube people, so thanks for watching, folks, as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.